Welcome to Om Times TV, a division of Om Times Media and Broadcasting.
Consistently attract soulmate clients. Begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize. Hello, my loves. Welcome to another incredible, epic show. You know what? This is such a synchronicity. I actually did not share this with my guests yet, my very special guest. It's a synchronicity, Emily. A year ago on this show, Activate Your Soulgasmic Business, I delivered my very first light language meditation by opening the Akashic records publicly on this show a year ago. That's what Facebook Memories showed me today. I was like, well, that's amazing, because today our show is all about the power of accessing your own Akashic records. And I have a very special soul sister with me today. She and I will tell you how we met in a little bit here. Emily Harrison, who is the CEO of the Akashic Academy. So some of you who are tuning in may be very familiar with the Akashic records. If you've been following me, you know that I'm obsessed with it. I don't do business coaching without it with my clients. It really informs us so powerfully. And some of you might be like, I hear about this Akashic records, but I don't really know what it is. So we're going to share with you the secret key to unlocking your most profound genius, even if you do not meditate, okay, every day, you don't consider yourself psychic, and you don't trust your intuition. Oh my God, you will be hearing me talk about how accessing the Akashic records and getting certified in it actually has leveled me up in all areas of my life, has helped me become even more intuitive and powerful as a business coach. So I'm so excited about this. And then today you're also going to learn about, Emily's going to really help you tap into the universal intelligence and download any information you want instantly. So more intelligence, more creativity, more influence. Isn't that what we want as coaches, as healers, as transformational leaders? Yes. So we're just hoping that technology will be on our side, because I can already feel the tingling. Before we started, Emily and I open the records, and she did this beautiful prayer to open the Akashic records, and I'm like literally tingling. I know she said her hair has been standing up. So before we get into that, I just want to remind you and have you check in right now. How's it going for those of you who are in business? How has it been hitting your goals for 2022? We're in the last quarter here. And if you're really noticing you're feeling challenged in getting more visible, maybe you're feeling like you're procrastinating, you're still hiding, you might be putting yourself out there, doing all the things strategy-wise, but you're like, why the heck am I not still attracting so easily my full body yes clients? I have a free masterclass for you, and it's called How to Boldly and Unapologetically Market Your Coaching Biz and Attract Full Body Yes clients. So you can check that out in the show notes to access now. All right, my loves. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit more about Emily, more formally, because I know we're all waiting for this. So Emily has a really epic story. You're not going to believe it. She went from food stamps to fortune. And she has a really epic story. So I'm going to have you hang on to that for her to share it herself. She is, like I said, the CEO of the Akashic Academy, a modern day mystery school dedicated to sharing knowledge that is empowering the planet to resource superconscious intelligence from within. Can I get a yes and an amen? In 2021, Emily was named one of the 5 most innovative businesswomen, yes, girl, by Entrepreneur Magazine. After being featured on Gaia, CBS, NBC, HBO, Lifetime, Netflix, Thrive, and at Harvard University, where we met, Emily is now creating quantum in-person experiences within the most profound grid points on the planet, one of them being Sedona. So people can experience accelerated activation and embodiment of their soul mission. Welcome, Emily!
Oh gosh, it's so good to be here. I, like you said, am feeling so much energy already on the call. How about you guys out there? Are you feeling the energy that we've created in this sacred space to invite you all into today? It's just so potent.
So beautiful. And the chat box is already going. I love this because this is live streamed. Love it. Thank you for those of you watching live and on the replay later on. So appreciate you all. Oh my gosh, Emily, we have to give credit to Corey Poirier, who is the founder of Blue Talks, which you guys all know. If you've been following me, you know I am a huge fan of Blue Talks business life universe. It's like if TEDx and Chicken Soup for the Soul had a baby, you would get this beautiful, powerful platform of heart-driven entrepreneurs here to share their message in the world. So thank you to Corey for birthing that into the world. And that's why Emily and I also know each other, is through Corey. We met at Harvard University, where we both spoke in 2019.
What a place to meet.
Oh my
in
God.
this lifetime, I should say, again, because there's definitely such a beautiful soul connection. But Harvard and that opportunity to speak there was so incredibly powerful for me because, one, I'm a college dropout, which, by the way, thank you for the vocabulary of food stamps to fortune. I've never said it that way before. I'm like, oh.
Oh, yeah, that was just downloaded. I'm like, food stamps of fortune. That's Emily.
But how amazing that we got the beautiful opportunity, which I know our souls agreed to before this incarnation, Roz, to bring the most powerful self-actualization tool, the most powerful connection to intelligence, to Harvard University.
Yes.
I mean, wow.
Like, there's no warming up. It's like, just start off this relationship with a bang. So
yes. Yes, and I was just really, like so many people of your audience and your clients, blown away by your presence, how grounded and how much energy and excitement you bring to the stage. Your magnetic energy lights so many of us on fire. And I'm so proud I get to add OM TV now to my resume. Thank you for having me here with you, Roz.
Yes, and thank you so much for saying yes. I'm so excited. Let's dive into your story, my love. Like, you have quite a journey that you've been on in this lifetime, and I know that so many people who are tuning in right now, and even if with your own members here, that they never get sick of your story because it is so inspiring. It's like you give so much hope to those who, you know, all of us can feel hopeless sometimes in business. Yes. Myself, it's like, Rick, I'm frustrated. Seriously, just again.
Yeah, thank you for really illuminating that story of hope and how much shift and change we can really affect in our life. Because for me, it all started in a really small town, Missouri, where the Underground Railroads were part of the geography there in this small town. And I was fascinated with the Underground Railroads growing up. And then when I studied the Akashic Records 30 years later in my life, what I recognized was I had a past life of leading people to freedom through those underground railroads. So it feels like I'm doing the same work in this incarnation. And yes, it looks different, but I have definitely gone from what feels like oppression and not being fully self-expressed to playing big, girl, playing big.
Yes, you are. You're playing.
Yeah, so well, the abridged version of my story, y'all, there's the Missouri girl in me, y'all, looks like this. So I grew up small town Missouri and went to college there at Mizzou. Did not feel inspired by the box I was trying to shove myself into. And I had a moment, I'll call it a download. I wouldn't have called it a download at that point in time, but I remember I was driving home from class one day feeling just ick about life. And what happens when we drive, we're using the automatic part of our brain. So we kick into using different brain waves. And then the other interesting thing was I had stopped at a stoplight. So I had this colored light, right, coming into my eyes. And it shifted my consciousness into a frequency where all of a sudden it was like, I mean, I've been told my whole life, oh, this is you, your life is yours. You can choose and create whatever you want. But I was still creating inside the box. It hadn't become fully embodied. But in that moment, Roz, something shifted in me. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm quitting life in Missouri. I'm going to Hollywood. And I was never really even an actress growing up. I mean, I'd done a couple school plays here and there. Interestingly enough, I had been cast in supporting roles. I was the witch once, and I was the angel once in the school play. I'm like, oh, there's the esoteric Emily that I know.
Forecasting.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, 19 years old, driving away from college at the stoplight, my life makes sense. I'm like, I'm gonna quit life here in Missouri and move to Hollywood, which I did. Packed up, headed to Los Angeles, and I equate my journey a lot to the story of the alchemist in Beginner's Luck. I got cast in a movie right away and started having some success in Hollywood. But what I recognized was that I was much better in my head than I was in the actual audition room. I hadn't taken the time to really cultivate or learn how to manage my subtle energy. And so I would get really nervous and my self-worth issues would come up. And I realized that I needed to do something to help me be as good as I was in my mind in reality. And that's when I began studying Tai Chi, Qigong, meditation. And it was like the more I would do these ancient practices that would help me center myself, the more embodied I was. So the more acting jobs I would get, so the more I would meditate. And anybody who knows, the more we meditate, the more our consciousness expands, the more we see what is really here and available for us on the planet. And I got to the point where I naturally had made so much shift and created so much success for myself that I wanted to help others. And the point where my story really shifted, Roz, was when I was working with a neighbor. And I didn't know this neighbor very well, but he was limping down the street one day and I was like, oh, what happened? Why are you limping? And he shared with me that he had broken his ankle and he wasn't healing very well. And I said, well, do you want to come over for some energy healing? And it was one of those things that came out of my mouth before I really thought about it. And I'm like, hang on, this is what's going on in my mind chatter. I'm not an energy healer. I'm an actress. What am I doing? Hopefully he doesn't say yes, but then he said yes. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just going to act like an energy healer. I'm going to wing it. I'm going to improv, right? And so he comes over and I prop his foot up and I'm waving my tuning fork around and I had no idea consciously what I'm doing, but from a higher frequency, I was just trusting, right? And in that experience with him, Roz, his father, who had passed, came into my awareness. And I'm like, all right, well, I've seen enough episodes of Long Island Medium. I guess I'm supposed to talk to him. So I started a conversation with his father in my imagination. And then after the session was over, I didn't mention it, but it was nagging on me. Please let him know I was here. So with courage, I reached back out and I said, Daniel, I feel like your father came in. I'm not a medium. Definitely an actress, not a medium. But I feel like he's asking me to share this with you. Would you be open to receiving it? And he said yes. And so he came back over. And as I began to share what was coming through from his father, every single point that his father had told me in the conversation Daniel was able to validate. And by the end of the conversation, we're both just sobbing. And the healing that happened, yes, in his ankle, but more in his spirit, was so profound. And I'm like, this is the story my soul is wanting to tell. It's not any Hollywood story that some other writer or director could write and create. It's human potential, and it's what we can do with human potential. And at that point, I didn't know that it was the Akashic Records yet, but I knew for sure it wasn't Hollywood. And so I
What year was this?
This was 2015.
Okay.
Sorry, it was 2014. It was the end of 2014. And I ran back inside. I grabbed this Conscious Life magazine that I picked up in Hollywood, and I'm flipping. I'm like, I need a certification in something. What's it going to be? And it's like, when you find the right dress. I have a feeling you know about finding the right dress.
Yeah.
I'm like, Akashic Records, that's it. And I had familiarity knowing that this was the realm of consciousness where all information, past, present, and future existed. I figured that's going to work. I don't see any reason why there's going to be a gap there. And so I signed up for training, which started in 2015. And I went through 3, and I think we were trained in the same lineage through Linda Howe on the Pathway Prayer.
Correct. Yeah.
Although we got to experience how that has evolved for me after I graduated from that really deep training. My guides were very persistent with me. You need your own way to take people in. That worked great for Linda's lineage and who Linda Howe is bringing in, but you need something different. So I downloaded my own unique way to take people into the Akashic Records. And I also knew right away that the most potent way I could share this was not necessarily reading records for other people, but teaching them you can do this for yourself. And that's when the Akashic Academy was born. And since then, I have been training light workers, visionaries, thought leaders across the planet on how they can access their Akashic Records to not only heal and drop our karma, the areas where we are still getting in our own way, where our subconscious patterns are playing out and causing us to miscreate, to create not what we really want to experience. So all that healing work we get to do, but then we get into the stuff that I really love. I start snapping.
I love it.
Right? Accessing our highest genius is really why I want to bring people into the records, because there's so much. We need new medicine. We need new technology. We need new ways of doing business, new ways of relating to each other, relationships, new ways of teaching our children. And that's going to come through each and every individual here on the planet.
Oh my gosh, there's so many points where my mind's going like, I want to talk about this and this and this, and because there's so much gold you're just dropping in right now, so I'm going to slow down. And I'm going to, let's see what the first question is.
Okay.
Not so much a question, a point that I want to emphasize is I love how once you learn something, and this I'll share as well. I think what would be really fun is how, the parallels are happening and they unfold differently, right? So I can hear how we were both trained under the same lineage, Linda Howe, and then you got the download, because that's a beautiful thing. Every reader, every receiver, just like of light language too, we're going to receive how it's meant to be for aligned with our soul mission and our way of delivering it. Yes. And so I love how for you, Emily, it was like, yep, now you got to go and forge your own path. Take what resonates, tweak it so it aligns with your soul mission, and how beautiful that you've birthed the Akashic Academy to be a leader for other leaders. That's so incredible to create those ripple effects. And I see that for me, being an Akashic, well, before I did the Akashics back in 2020, so I didn't know about the Akashics. So you're the first one to really talk about it, actually, in Harvard. I actually had heard a little bit about it, but I didn't really know what it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is really fascinating. And so it was 2020 where I still had not considered it, Emily. I was just like, in 2020, we all know what happened. And long story short, somehow I discovered I'm a medium. So at that point in time, I was at a party, an outdoor acreage party where there was distancing. on 2020, and I was there with my girlfriend's birthday, and then my other girlfriend who actually was running an Akashic. She ended up being my Akashic teacher. And again, at this point, I'm like, it's not really something I consciously was aware of, but it came into my field, and I was like, oh, what's this? Okay, do I take mediumship? Do I take Akashics? Like, I'm not sure. And so I was just like, well, Deanne explained what Akashics was, and which we will on the show, by the way. And I was like, that sounds intriguing. Okay, well, what have I got to lose? Let me just, like, really, like, I never think learning is a waste of time. So I'm like, let me come on in. So it was incredible because once I download it, then I receive the way that I'm meant to just like really deliver Akashic soul sessions and bring in all the alchemy of a previous psychologist profession, as a marriage and family therapist, life coaching, as well as the business coaching. And then I'm also trauma certified, so the somatic healing comes in. So it's really different. It's not just a reading. So I just love how, we receive it in the way that aligns for us. Yeah.
I love that you said alchemy, because that is, we're so aligned in that too. That alchemy is near and dear to my heart. Of course, the great lineage of the alchemists and Melchizedek, Merlin, the magician energy is really, holds the consciousness of the mystery school, which is what I feel so aligned. The Akashic Academy is a modern day mystery school, and we need alchemy so much in relationships.
Yes.
And in the trauma, I'm so impressed with how you interpret it and are creating a modern day context to help people with it. You're just brilliant at what you do.
Thank you, my love. So are you. So for our audience members who are still like, what is Akashics? I don't really know. Can I get you to explain that?
Absolutely. So let's just start with the word Akashic and break that down a bit for you, okay? So Akash or Akashic is a Sanskrit word, and it means ether. Ether is primordial energy. I talk about ether being one of the 5 elements from which the other 4 elements, earth, wind, water, fire, all stem from the space of the ether. Okay, and a primordial characteristic of ether is sound, which I find that just to be phenomenal. I love, because I grew up really Southern Baptist in a very religious setting, which required some, getting outside of that rigidity in order to access this, because we were taught we weren't supposed to be psychic and mediums and tapping into all this energy in the church that I went to, right? But what I found as a common link was whether you believe in the Big Bang or whether you believe God spoke the universe into existence, it all stems from sound. So really, really beautiful that's one of the characteristics of the Akash. Another characteristic of the Akash is that it records intelligence. So when I talk about the Akashic records, I share with people, this is a realm of consciousness. It's like an etheric library where every detail of your past, your present, and all possible futures, because the future is recorded in infinite possibility, exists. And we have the divine right as humans, as God, goddess, creator beings, to tap into this universal intelligence and download any information that feels important to us here. Because we know when we incarnate in human form, what we're doing is we're lowering our vibration, and not in don't think of this in a negative way. I want to invite everybody to see this as a vibrational frequency match. So when we're in the oneness energy, before we take on form, we're just one with God, it's fantastic. And I love that, Roz, that you said it's never a wasted opportunity to learn. The challenge with being in that frequency, that esoteric oneness light energy with the God source, is that there's no contrast. And without contrast, we don't have nearly as great of a teacher in front of us. Contrast is the best teacher in the universe. So what we decided to do as these powerful cosmic beings was to lower our vibrational frequency so that we were a frequency match to the density here on the planet, which allows us access to our senses. to taste, to touch, to smell, to interact, to have emotion, right? And so this idea of lowering our frequency so that we can have this kind of learning curve, we can have this kind of interaction is really, it's a good thing. And there are challenges with it because as we lower our density, we're not as open to all of what is out there in human form with our 5 senses, which by the way, you have many more than 5, but we have 5 that all of us know and use on a regular basis.
Yep.
With those 5 senses, one can interpret 0.003% of the spectrum of energy coming in. That's 0.003%, y'all.
Wow.
So we're missing quite a bit. So even though we are here in this beautiful human form with a lower density, when we learn to access through our consciousness, go back into universal intelligence, we have access to all that we're missing when we choose to incarnate here in this physical expression.
It is so powerful. I cannot, it's kind of like the feeling of when, you know, before you become a parent, those of you who are parents, and then you become a parent, and it's like you experience this love that you've never felt before, and you really can't explain unless you become a parent. I feel like learning the Akashic records and learning how to access your own records is that way. Like, to me, it's really hard to describe the feeling of infinite, like limitless, available knowledge, like universal knowledge. I like, see, I'm just even struggling with like, what words do I use? And
Yes.
the feelings and the sensations, like literally you're recalibrating. You energetically feel like you're recalibrating. And let me tell you, Emily, it was not fun for me. It's just like, I remember I'm like, why do I feel so woozy? Why do I feel so nauseous as I was learning and as I was practicing opening the records in my class? And it's kind of like, like if you're going in, you're an astronaut and you're like, you have to recalibrate, you're going into space. It's the same thing. And so I don't
100%.
feel that.
Yep. We have to learn to hold a higher bandwidth.
Yes.
You know, because we're so used to living in our rigidity and in our, you know, the living in what we feel like we have been taught and what we're comfortable in. There's this giant soul opening where I encourage my students to take light baths in there just to start getting used to the frequency and learning to hold that higher bandwidth.
I really love that. I haven't heard that term, light bath. That's really what it is. That's totally what it is. And I open my records every morning to have a light bath. That's really what I'm doing. Thank you for giving me the words for that. Because
we'll trade good words today. You give me food and then I'll give you the light bath.
And just like I said in the beginning, you don't have to be an avid meditator. You don't even have to know how to really meditate or practice it to access and learn how to access Akashic records. This might be your form of quote unquote meditation, to have this light bath. So powerful. I'd love to, when we come back from commercial, jam a little bit more about the benefits of accessing our own records and how that's really supported you, how that's supported your students, Emily, and here's some of the powerful results as that as well. Yeah.
I'll talk about the food stamp story when we get back.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Thank you.
Om Times TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
Are you feeling maxed out working one-on-one with clients and you're deeply desiring to scale your business for more time freedom without sacrificing your income, but rather expanding it? Many of my clients who are light workers, healers, practitioners, and even coaches, they're often multi-modality, are coming to me because they are sick and tired of working with clients on a one-off session model where the clients are coming in on an as-need basis. Or if they're selling packages, they are selling them in the sense of buy 5, get 1 free, or the greater the number of sessions, the greater the discount. The problem with this is it's still a dollar for hours business model. And so that leaves the practitioner feeling really exhausted and overwhelmed from having to put so much time, effort, and energy in finding new clients that they're not operating in their most elevated self with their current clients. And so if this is you, I would love to share with you that it's time to elevate your business and scale it to sell high ticket one-on-one programs or even group programs. This will allow you to have more deeper impacts because you're raising your clients' results, you're scaling your business, and you're having that time freedom you deeply are yearning for. If this is resonating with you, love, I'd love to invite you to come on a soul business alignment call with me so that you can stop feeling like you're on this roller coaster ride and start to feel safe and stable and even having fun in your business and your finances. Please go to electrifymybusiness.com to apply and we'll hop on a call. I can't wait to connect.
If I could be you and you could be me for just 1 hour, if we could find a way to get inside each other's minds, walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse, walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back, my loves. Okay, Emily, please tell us about your food stamps to fortune story. This is
Food stamps to fortune, everybody. That's some of the best marketing vocabulary ever. You're so good at what you do.
Well, that is one of my gifts. So
it is. You know, I'm watching your commercial. I'm like, oh yeah. Which, by the way, what Roz talked about in that invite that she did before the network commercial, exactly what I did that took me into fortune. So I'll start by sharing that one of my soul issues in this lifetime was, first of all, learning worthiness and being able to source and resource through within. And I want to invite each one of you out there who have recognized what your big issues are in this lifetime, embrace those. Because what I have learned through the Akash, and one of the reasons that my guides invited me to shift the way that I brought people into the Akashic records, was that what it looks like to teach and to guide is totally different right now than it was when Yeshua and Lao Tzu and Mother Mary and all of these great avatars that we have experienced here in the history of our planet. Yes, they came with great knowledge and intelligence, but doing it in the moment and changing their life in the moment wasn't yet part of the context. And that's what we're being invited to do now on the planet. And I'm gonna call y'all out here, whether you're watching live or on the replay. Please invite yourself to see yourself as an ascended master who has come back on the planet. Because what we are doing is we're coming back to show everybody, let me walk this lesson for you and show you what it looks like. So for me, being able to source and resource from within and truly command abundance and prosperity in my life was something that I needed to learn firsthand before I could share that energy, that transmission with other people. So it had been an issue in my life since I was a little girl. I was able to make money when I needed it, but it wasn't consistent. And what I found in Hollywood was that showed up again. I would get a job where I would make 20 grand in a week, and then I would work again for 8 months. And it was more than once in my life that I had to go on public assistance, food stamps, to get milk.
That is the reality of actors. Yeah. I have another friend who's an actor, and they were telling me about, because I'm like, tell me how this works. Like, how? Yeah. Like, it's not a 9-to-5 job. And so it's just fascinating to me. And also, I was just like, wow, like, that is, I don't know. Not having that stability would create a little bit of anxiety in me. Wow.
Well, it's all part of my bigger journey on the planet. I was also working through ancestral energy around rejection. Mm-hmm. So my maternal grandmother had lost her mother at a young age due to complications of an abortion, which is where that rejection energy became illuminated in our ancestry. So going to Hollywood and living that experience where I had daily rejection was part of my ancestral transmutation of that energy. Right, but that's another topic that's interesting too. But let's talk about the poor girl Emily, right?
So we'll have you back, Emily. We'll have you back, and we talk about that.
So, Emily on food stamps here, and the first time that I was on food stamps, I was wanting out. I hadn't yet come into my spirituality where I knew that I could shift my energy and command what I wanted. I was still working with the spirituality that I was given growing up, where you pray to God, God, please save me. Please save me from the food stamps, God. And I got an opportunity to be a contract role on a soap opera, which y'all, I never wanted to do soap in my life. That's not why I moved to Hollywood. I was like, I want to be Angelina Jolie. I do not want to do a soap opera. But being on food stamps, I'm like, okay, I'll do the soap opera, right? So there was a part of me that was already compromising what I truly wanted. But I took the job, got off food stamps right away, started making fat cash again, which felt really good. Mm-hmm. However, this was not fully, it was part of my experience here on the planet, as part of my story I needed to experience, but it was not in alignment with what I truly wanted. And so that incongruency created a cluster. I didn't ask you if we could curse before we got on this show, so I'm not going to say the bad word.
All good. I curse on my show.
It was a clusterfuck, you. Absolute clusterfuck. And the audience did not like me at all. I was having a very difficult time fitting in. I ended up getting fired from this job, not 6 months into the contract. And at that point in time, 26-year-old Emily getting fired from the biggest break that I had ever had, I created a soul contract with myself unconsciously, but I said, if this is what success looks like, I don't want it. No, thank you. And so it wasn't a couple years later that I was back on food stamps again. But this time I had started my business in the Akashic Records, and I was like, all right, I need to use the medicine that I have learned on myself. I've got to use it on myself first. So I went into my Akashic Records, and I'm like, I know that I'm here for something really big. I feel like I'm feeling my way through what it is to create my business, yet I'm stuck. I'm not able to make more than $5,000 a month, and I want to make millions of dollars doing this. This is so valuable. I want to create that much value on the planet. How do I do it? And my records showed me that afternoon that I got fired at 26 years old. And by this time I was close to 40, right? So I was going back in time quite a bit. And they said, you created a success ceiling here in your life, and it made perfect sense. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want that. How do I uncreate that? And that's when I downloaded the first, what I call medicine protocol that was unique to me, quantum medicine, the Akashic records. And what my guide showed me was that I was holding that somatic memory in my soft tissues. And so they showed me the lung store sadness, heart stores the unforgiveness, your belly stores the worry, kidneys store fear, and the liver stores the anger. I said, okay. I'd also loved tapping, EFT tapping. They didn't have me do the karate chop points like it's traditionally taught. They said, tap right on the organs, Emily. And I'm like, okay. So I'm tapping. I'm like going, feeling myself up, getting to third base with myself. They said, use a transmutation tool, a tool of alchemy. They said, pick the violet flame or Ho'oponopono. And I use violet flame for everything, so I decided to use Ho'oponopono. And they said 5 rounds, 5 times a day. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me and thank you. That's Ho'oponopono for those of you who are learning about that beautiful transmutation to a tool of alchemy, tool of the magicians today. And so I began tapping and transmuting this energy. That's what I did to physically clear the energy from my body. But then I also needed to take different action steps with the universe. And what Roz described, which is why it was so potent for me when I listened to that, was exactly the steps that I took. I started taking my clients deeper rather than, honestly, showing up and giving them a less potent
like a one-off session. Yeah.
I decided I'm not going to show up for that anymore, because that is not a true reflection of the power and transformation we can get in the Akashic records. I'm going to train people in their records. I'm going to require them to show up and use the records every time we work in their business to shift things. I'm going to create in-person experiences. I created my first retreat after that during COVID. My first retreat in Mount Shasta was in 2020.
Oh, that looked incredible.
Crazy. And so it was these shifts and changes, working on the energetics, learning where I had taken on the false belief systems about myself, finding my unique way to release those, and then commanding a greater commitment from my clients, really, so that they could get all of the magic that I had to offer, was what shifted things. And last year we did $500,000 in revenue, $500,000 of revenue in the Akashic Academy.
Congratulations. My heart is so happy for you. My heart is so happy for your students. It is so potent. This work is, like I said earlier, it's so hard to describe. It's until you actually learn how to access your own records and to be tuned in. Oh my gosh, I love your story so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So cute. So please tell us, I know that you and I are wanting to do a beautiful Akashic bath for our audience, have everyone experience it. And I just found out, actually, I did not know that Em also speaks light language. So we're going to do a beautiful duet as well. But before we do, you have access for our audience for your Akashic vault.
Yes. I forgot. And we got some fun presents for you all here. So for those of you who feel like you're just, scratching the surface, excuse me, of this intelligence, and you want to learn more, you might not be ready to fully dive in yet, we have opened access to our Akashic Vault, free resources, which Roz will share the link for you.
Yes,
for the resources where you can get started. And there's a massive amount of training and different ways that you can interact. There's some quizzes in there. There's really cool stuff that we've created over the years. And for those of you who feel ready to begin Akashic training, we've got just an awesome offering for you all, where you can dive into the beginner's training of Learn to Read the Akashic Records, which will take you into the records. It will give you a reliable and repeatable way that you can get into the records, and you can begin to trust the information that comes in, which I love, Roz, is when you were telling your story, you had that experience of going in and like, we're learning, is this me? And is this like, how do I use these pieces? And this program will really give you the opportunity to begin practicing so that you know when you're in there. Roz talked about that feeling of expansiveness. That's how you know you're in. And when you begin to feel that on a regular basis, it's going to help you really trust that you are in the Akashic Records.
Oh, absolutely. And I have to say, like, I really believe very foundational. Our journey of life is trusting ourselves. And that really means, to me, trusting our intuition, trusting the inner nudges. And it absolutely blew it wide open for me when I learned how to access my Akashics and then also access the Akashics of others. And I started practicing, because in our program, you need to practice for 30 days at no charge. And so I was taking on working with people that I had no clue. And I remember I would just see images. So the way I read is I see through my third eye. I feel what my clients feel. I see it, visions, images, and sometimes Disney reference cartoons. It's really fun. It's a claircognizant. They talk to me as if it's like my voice in my head. And some of the things that I'm like, my ego's like, oh, is this correct? I don't know. But I'm just going to say it because it's what I see. And then the client will confirm, like, that is the one. Yes, that's correct. Oh my gosh, that's what's happening in my life. Now I'll be like, I see this person here. Is this, like, I describe them visually and they're like, and I'm like, that's your fiance or your boyfriend or partner. And they're like, yep, that's what they look like. I mean, I have no idea. These two people, I don't know these people. And it's just amazing the power of universal knowledge that comes through.
Unbelievable. Yeah, some of my students who have gone through this have experienced incredible shifts in results too. Yeah. Cindy Coleman, who is one of my near and dears in my heart along the way in this journey, when she came to me and began learning the Akashic Records, she did not tell me that she had an autoimmune disease where she literally couldn't process light. She could not go outside in the sun. She would cover up in many, many layers. By the time this class was over, Roz, she was going to festivals in sandals, in tank tops. She had estranged herself from her family. Right?
That is literally life-changing.
Life-changing.
The power of the Akashics, like, it's just miracles. Like, just literally miracles.
Yep, learning to tap into this miracle consciousness. I worked with a beautiful young woman, Eva, who she also had things in her life that prevented her from feeling fully expressed and being out in the world. She had Tourette syndrome and she just didn't feel comfortable out with people. And she just had this beautiful artistry and expression in her. And in the time we worked together, she published a book that she won an award in the fantasy fiction category, but it was and this was before COVID, but what was coming through her was coming through in that fantasy fiction expression, but it was COVID. It was what we experienced a few years later in COVID, which is why she won that award, because it was so intuitively channeled, precursing what humanity was about to experience. That one blew my mind too.
Okay, people, go and get into Emily's training now.
Oh.
The link is in the show notes. Miracles await you. Yeah. Seriously, though, honestly, like I shared early on, when Akashic Records sort of came into my energy field, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm intrigued, so why not? And it has been, just trust it. Even if you don't know why, don't let your head get in the way. You're hearing these things. It's blown up my business in an amazing way. Just, it makes it that much more fun. So, yes. Yeah, it's so beautiful. And it's so beautiful when our ego mind can't explain like certain things, or we have certain feelings around something. Accessing the records allows us to understand on a soul contracts level why this is happening, that our ego mind psychology could not explain. So it's so potent. Oh my gosh, love. So how can people get connected besides, yes, it's in the show notes. Please go get that, access that free vault. If you're ready to dive in deep with Emily, access that free vault. That's my affiliate link. And let Emily know you heard about it through here.
Yes, come to the AkashicAcademy.com And you can fill out a contact form right there on the website, and my team and I will get back to you just as soon as possible. We know that when you show up and you reach out, you are ready for big things, and we will come find you.
I love it. All right, my love. Shall we shift gears here a bit and
let's shoot some energy.
Let's do that. Let's give this beautiful audience a blast of, what did you call that? Light bath?
Light bath, yes. Maybe I should just take us into the Akash with that oming, and then maybe share a little light language, and then I'll turn it over to you to.
We will do it. We'll just. This is not planned. We're just letting everything channel.
Awesome. All right. So if I hear you start going, then I will be quiet. I'll know that something important is coming in.
So good.
But I'll share with you all. I speak light language not only with the syllables and sounds that come through, but I feel like I speak a version of sign language too, and there'll be a lot of energy moving through my hands.
Beautiful. Okay?
Good. So I want to invite everybody to focus on a crystalline tube of light running up and down your spine. And with your imagination, with your intention, sink that crystalline tube into Mother Earth and send it up also outside the time-space continuum into the Akash. And let those energies begin to flow into your body. Good. We're going to sound some ohms. With this ohm, I relax my body, relaxing the body so all that energy can flow in. With this ohm, I relax my mind. With this ohm, I release my ego. With this ohm, I call in the light. With this ohm, I open the Akashic records of fill in your full name, Emily Suzanne Harrison. The records are now open.
Welcome. Welcome home to your records.
Oh.
Sirkia sathura sinirki asia no kora sinara kora sinirki. Surkua sinirkia sura sinirkia sura sinirkia asia no kora sinarkia. Trust yourself. Trust what's unfolding before you. Invite, allow. Breathe through the fear. Remember who you are, my loves. Just really breathing in. And beautifully grounding your breath as you exhale into Mother Earth. Grounding these sensations. This is your power, your frequency. We're opening up more and more of your DNA soul code so that you may remember who you truly are. You may remember your gifts now, activating now.
Focus on your breath, everyone. Don't hold your breath. If you find yourself holding your breath, go back into a flow. That column of light that we worked with, imagine expanding it, expanding it, expanding it, almost like you're in one of those slides as the kid.
Beautiful. You got this. You got this. Move that energy. Allow that energy with your breath to come in. If you're feeling a little scared, it's okay. Everything is happening for you. It is safe. It is safe. It is safe.
Yes.
You might notice tears, tingling, emotions coming through. You may notice solidness. You may notice releasing.
Allow, 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 allow.
Beautiful. Just breathing in, seeing the beautiful images, if any, that are coming through, or a word or words to help you anchor this in now. Beautiful. Letting your body feel the sensations, taking your breath, keep grounding, keep regulating yourself. And stay here for as long as you'd like. Emily and I would love to hear how this activation served and supported you. You can leave a review. You can leave it in the comments.
Good work, everyone.
You can do a shout out and tag us in your stories. Bold Sexy Warrior on Instagram. Emily, what's yours? No, Akashic Records.
I was up here, I'm like, oh wait, come back to what is the social media handle? Yeah, Akashic Academy.
Beautiful. We love to hear your takeaways, my loves. We love to know your experience as you're watching here live or on the replay. Feel free to share with us in the comments. Thank you so much for being here, Emily. Thank you for sharing your light, your love. Oh, my loves, please go and check Emily out. If you are feeling the call, join her Akashic Academy. As you can see there, you will not regret it. It is so magical. Oh, I love it. I love all the comments that are happening right now in terms of how this served and supported our beautiful audience. Thank you, my love.
Yes. Amen. Yes. Aho.